Are you looking for a great new recipe for stuffing this year? First, I'm gonna start with the bread. I have 8 slices of white bread. Cut them up into 1/2-inch pieces. Put the bread in an even layer on a baking sheet, and then do the same thing to your cornbread. Make sure they're nice and even, and then they go into a 375-degree oven until they're nice and dry. That'll take about 15 minutes. You need 4 pieces of bacon. Now the bacon gets cooked in a skillet. This needs to cook for about 5 minutes until the fat is rendered and it gets a little crispy. Dice up 1 medium onion, 2 cloves of garlic, 2 stalks of celery. The bacon's cooked enough, so it's time to add the vegetables. The garlic, the onion, and the celery can all go in at once. Just start that cooking and you can chop up some fresh sage. You're gonna need a tablespoon of fresh sage. Just stir in your sage, add 2 eggs. You wanna whisk these eggs lightly. Whisk the eggs. Get them all nice and broken up. Then you can add your vegetables. So add your veg, stir them in. You might want to let them sit just a couple minutes before you add to the egg so it doesn't cook. And then your parsley. And then it's time for the bread. And they can go right into the bowl. Add 2 3/4 cups of chicken stock. Season it with salt and pepper. And then you want to let it sit for about 5 minutes just to absorb the moisture. Stir it once more, and then it's ready to go into your turkey. Or you can put it into a baking dish, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use a 9x13. If you were stuffing your turkey, you'd probably only have enough left over for an 8x8. Pour it into your dish. It's so good, really. Bake this off at 375 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. It's gonna get nice and golden brown on top and a little bit crunchy. It's gorgeous. It smells like Thanksgiving. I think this would be a great accompaniment to any turkey, any time of year. It's Turkey Day. Actually, it's the day before Turkey Day, and I just need to get my turkey rubbed because I'm gonna do a dry rub for my turkey this year. But you wanna start the day before you're gonna cook your turkey. So, Thanksgiving Eve, get your turkey out. I have it on a rack in a large roasting pan, and I'm just patting it dry all over. You just wanna fold your wingtips under, keep it breast side down in your rack. For the rub, I need a tablespoon of thyme. Give this a little bit of a chop. To that, you're gonna add a tablespoon each of orange and lemon zest. Tablespoon of orange zest, 1 tablespoon of lemon zest. Much easier to zest a lemon. 2 tablespoons plus 1½ teaspoons of coarse salt. Make sure it's coarse salt. And 1½ teaspoons of black pepper. And that's your rub. Rub your rub all over the back and the wings, and then turn it over and do the same thing for the breast side. Make sure you leave some of the rub because you want to put some on the inside of your turkey too. Put this into the refrigerator uncovered at least 8 hours. My turkey has been sitting overnight. It's all nice and flavored. Lift it out for a sec and pour off any juices that are in the bottom of the pan. This turkey's been sitting at room temperature for an hour, and then just set the pan aside for a sec while you cut up some vegetables. I have 2 stalks of celery and 2 carrots. Put them in the pan, and then you need 1 large onion, and then cut it into wedges and put that into the bottom of the pan too. So to that, you're gonna add 2 cups of water. You add the water to your pan so that as your turkey's cooking, the pan juices don't burn because you wanna use them for your gravy, right? The turkey can go back on the rack on top of the vegetables. We're almost ready for the oven. Just going to sprinkle this with some paprika, delicious. Now you sprinkle your turkey all over with about 2 tablespoons of paprika. The 2 tablespoons of paprika that you rub all over the outside of this turkey gives it a beautiful mahogany color and a little bit of smoky sweetness that goes great with all of that citrus. I've preheated my oven to 425. The minute I put the turkey in, I'm turning it down to 375, and then you cook it about 2.5 hours for an unstuffed turkey, maybe about 3 for a stuffed turkey. While the turkey's starting to roast, you can get your basting liquid ready. So I'm gonna use the juice of the lemons and the oranges that I zested yesterday. You need a total of a 1/2 cup of lemon juice, so that's 3 or 4 lemons, depending on how juicy they are, and a cup of orange juice. The juices go into a small pot, and then add 2 cups of apple cider. And then add 2 more tablespoons of the paprika. And then 1 stick of butter. Bring it to a boil, all the butter will melt, and then when it's time to baste, you just spoon it over the top, and then keep it on a low heat while the turkey is cooking so that you can baste it throughout. You're gonna wanna baste your turkey every 20 to 25 minutes. Oh my gosh, you guys, that is heavy. So stir up your basting liquid, and then spoon it over the top. You can use a baster here, or you can use a brush. The top might start getting a little bit dark. It might look like it's getting burnt. In order to avoid it getting any darker, what I like to do is tent it with some aluminum foil. Back in the oven. When you take your turkey out, make sure you use an instant read thermometer, and it should be 165 in the deepest part of the thigh. So stick it between the leg and the breast. Very carefully lift your turkey out of the roasting pan and place it on a board to rest. Give it a tent so it doesn't get too cold, and then you can make your gravy. The first thing you want to do is strain out all your vegetables from your liquid. Strain everything through a fine sieve. Get rid of your vegetables. Now, if you wanted to, you could use a fat separator here to separate the fat. Fat separators are one of those single-use tools that I actually think are fantastic, because when you pour your juices from cooking a big roast like a turkey or something, all the delicious juices that you want to use to make your gravy sink to the bottom, and then the spout starts way at the bottom, so when you pour the juices out, the fat stays in the separator. Take 1 cup of stock and pour it into your roasting pan, and then you just want to scrape up any brown bits that are in the bottom of the pan. Bring that to a boil. While that's coming to a boil, take the remaining 1 cup of chicken broth and stir 5 tablespoons of flour. Just whisk it into cold chicken broth. Once the liquid is simmering, you can whisk in your flour mixture. You want to make sure that you do it nice and slowly, whisking constantly so it doesn't form lumps. Season it with salt and pepper, don't forget that. Pour it into a nice bowl. It's beautiful. You should be proud of yourself and happy to say, Happy Thanksgiving. One of the questions that people ask me most at this time of year, Thanksgiving, is how do I carve a turkey? There's only really 4 steps to this. The first thing that you do is remove the leg thigh piece from the turkey as a whole. So cut between the leg and the breast. Just pull it back until the thigh bone sort of pops out of the joint. There's a bone right here. If you cut right through that joint, it'll separate right away from the carcass of the turkey. For now, I'm just going to put this aside on my platter. Want to remove the second leg as well. And if your turkey is really, really hot, you might want to stabilize it not with your hand, but with a fork of some kind. Once the legs have been removed, you can remove the breast. Cut alongside of the ridge, which is the top of the breastbone. Try to stay as close to the rib cage as possible so you get most of the meat. Cut down along the bottom. And you should be able to remove the breast all in one piece. Do the same thing with the breast on the other side. Then the wings, you can cut through the joints of the wings as well. They should separate really easy from the carcass at this point. I like to cut my turkey carcass in half so that it's not so big in the fridge, and then save it to make soup. Now you can just go ahead and cut up your turkey. I'm gonna do the leg and show you how to do that. I don't usually cut the meat off of the legs themselves, but you can cut between the leg and the thigh, separate those. And then you can cut the thigh meat off the bone. Just cut around the bone, getting as close to it as possible. And then you can save these bones too for your soup. Then just cut them into slices. I like to keep as much skin intact as possible. For the breast, cut your turkey breast into thin slices. And then just arrange your turkey however you like. I'm actually gonna separate the wings. It's just a little too big, I think, for my platter. So just at the joint again, you can separate it. There we go. And there you have it. Wasn't that easy? I hope that it was really helpful, and have a great Thanksgiving.